The air in the grand hall of the Skyhold Citadel was thick with unspoken tension. Eli sat at the far end of the long, polished mahogany table, methodically working his way through a slice of key lime pie. The sweet, tart cream was a perfect distraction. Around him, the atmosphere crackled with a dangerous energy he pretended not to feel. On the raised dais, the leaders of the Citadel sat like grim statues. Professor Sterling, the revered head of the Arcane Sciences Department, his posture impeccable. Beside him, Kalen, the prodigy enforcer with a gaze sharp enough to cut glass. Across the hall, Damien, the infamous blood baron from the lawless Badlands, leaned against a pillar with deceptive casualness. And at the far end of the table, fingers drumming impatiently, was Colt, the youngest scion of the powerful bioengineering guild. The source of the tension was clutched in Colt's hand. A single petal of emerald green crystal, shaped like a lotus. He was twirling it, a smug, boyish grin on his face as he boasted to a nearby initiate about his mysterious lover. Eli took another bite of pie, savoring the crumbly graham cracker crust. He was the Citadel's biggest disappointment, the nephew of the headmaster who'd gotten his position through family ties. His magical aptitude was negligible, his physique unimpressive. He preferred managing supply inventories and reading dime store novels to the grueling discipline of spellcraft. Why bother when there were far more pleasant ways to acquire power? His attention drifted back to the dais as Colt's voice rose. She said it was a token, that I was the only one who made her feel that way. A sudden, profound silence descended. Eli watched, fork halfway to his mouth, as Professor Sterling's knuckles went white where they rested on the arm of his chair. Kalen, the enforcer, slowly, deliberately, reached into the inner pocket of his reinforced leather coat. He withdrew an identical crystal petal, holding it up so the light from the grand chandelier caught its facets. You mean this? Kalen's voice was like winter frost. Colt's grin vanished. He stared, his face flushing. Where did you get that? That's mine. She gave it to me after we were together. Before the words had fully landed, Damien let out a short, humorless bark of laughter from his post by the pillar. He pushed off, the heavy tread of his boots echoing. Dangling from his belt, on a simple leather cord, was another glint of emerald green. The look that passed between Kalen and Colt was no longer one of mere rivalry. It was a raw, primal glare of shared betrayal, momentarily eclipsing even their inherent distrust of the Blood Baron. No one seemed to notice the way Professor Sterling's hand closed tightly around something in his own palm, hidden beneath the table. Eli swallowed the last of his pie, dusting crumbs from his simple cotton tunic. He kept his shoulders slightly hunched, his eyes downcast. The perfect picture of the inconsequential functionary. Professor Sterling's voice, cool and measured, cut through the rising heat. Gentlemen, this squabbling is beneath us. Our priority must be to locate this individual. Together. What a masterful performance, Eli thought, licking a spot of cream from his thumb. Sterling's probably already calculating how to eliminate the other three and keep the prize for himself. Colt looked genuinely wounded, his young face crumpling. But she told me it was only me, that I was special. Kalen's jaw tightened. Damien rolled his eyes. Sterling simply sighed, a sound of profound exasperation. One by one, in clipped tones, they admitted the same hollow promise had been whispered to each of them. The silence that followed was heavier than before. Damien finally spoke, his voice a low rumble. When I find my little fox, I'm going to chain him to my bedpost. See how far he gets on those pretty legs then. A faint, almost imperceptible nod from Kalen. Sterling turned, his eyes scanning the room before landing on Eli. Elias, over here. Eli quickly wiped his mouth and scurried over, adopting the slightly shuffling gait he'd perfected. Yes, Professor? Record their descriptions. Every detail. I want this person found. We will turn over every stone in this citadel, and beyond if we must. Eli nodded meekly, pulling a sound crystal from his belt pouch. He activated it, the faint hum barely audible. Colt went first, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and heartbreak. She's beautiful. Has a tiny mole right here, above her eyebrow. And there's a tattoo. On her inner thigh. Red flowers. Roses, I think. And her skin is so pale like porcelain. It marks so easily. Eli kept his expression neutral, but heat prickled at the back of his neck. Colt was the trickiest. His family specialized in bio-trackers and psychic imprints. Eli had been paranoid about leaving a trace, scrutinizing his own skin after every encounter for any hidden payload. Kaylin was next, characteristically brief. Small, quiet, brown eyes. No mole. The tattoo is peonies. He paused, and Eli remembered the enforcer's surprising intensity, the focused heat of him that contrasted so sharply with his icy exterior. He was always the most efficient, Eli mused, less talk, more action. Damien's description was growled through gritted teeth. Looks like a damn fox. Sly eyes. Same damn flowers. And he's pink in the chest. Always was. The blood baron trailed off, a muscle twitching in his jaw. Eli suppressed a smirk, recalling the man's curiously boyish fixations. Finally, Professor Sterling. His tone was clinical, detached. Eyes that tilt down at the corners. Bright, doe-like. The peony tattoo. Fair complexion. And a small, dark mole at the base of the spine, where the back meets the... He cleared his throat. You have the details, Elias. 5 days. Eli bowed his head. Of course, Professor. 5 days to find someone who doesn't exist. Or rather, to make sure they keep looking in the wrong places. As he turned to leave, Damien's voice stopped him. You're Lyssandra's boy, aren't you? Eli turned back, shoulders still rounded. Yes, sir. My mother was Lysandra Vance. Humph. Damien's gaze swept over him, dismissive. Your mother was a legend. A storm in human form. You look like a damp breeze. Eli ducked his head further. She was unparalleled, sir. It was true. He deliberately used his minor glamours to soften his features, to dull the vividness he'd inherited, making himself utterly forgettable. He felt Kaylin's eyes on him for a second, a cool assessment that lingered on his frame before moving away, seeing only another piece of the furniture. Back in his modest quarters on the Citadel's least glamorous slope, Eli finally relaxed. He shed the subtle glamours and the slouch. In the privacy of his room, he carefully removed his clothes. In the full-length mirror, he examined the intricate peony tattoo on his inner left thigh. It was a deep, lush red, the edges of the petals tinged with an unusual violet. With each successful acquisition, it seemed to grow more vibrant, more real. He took a small bottle of iridescent elixir from a drawer and dabbed it carefully over the tattoo. The vibrant colors shimmered and then faded, becoming invisible to the naked eye. He then contorted, using a hand mirror to apply the same concoction to the small mole at the base of his spine. Sterling and his attention to detail, he thought irritably. Always had to explore every inch. Dressed again, belt cinched tight, posture deliberately defeated, he became Elias Vance, the useless nephew, once more. His investigation was a farce, but a necessary one. He gathered a group of younger, slighter male acolytes under the pretense of a discreet examination. His eyes immediately found Silas, the clever, ambitious son of a senior archivist. Silas's gaze was alight with a greedy curiosity. Perfect, Eli thought. He doesn't want to be a suspect. He wants to be the target. Eli made a show of instructing the screening team. The individual in question has a distinctive floral tattoo on the inner thigh. The arcane archives might have references on such markings in the section on empathic conduits. He said it just loudly enough, seeing Silas's ears practically perk up. As he left the screening area, he nearly collided with Colt, who was tossing a small, amber-colored chrysalis from hand to hand. Any progress, Eli? Colt asked, his mood still dark. We're checking the archives for tattoo references, young master, Eli said, keeping his voice timid. Colt nodded, then his movements stilled. He turned, the chrysalis held tightly. We never said the target was male. How did you know to only gather the male acolytes? A cold spike of fear shot through Eli. He forced a weak, nervous smile. I once saw a portrait in the professor's private study. A young man. I assumed, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been in there. Please don't tell him. Colt, young and relatively guileless, bought the flimsy excuse. He even reached out and pinched Eli's cheek playfully, though his words were a threat. You better not be hiding anything, Eli, or you'll wish you had 9 lives. The plan proceeded. During the examinations, a cry came from the screened-off area. They had found their man. Eli directed the flustered acolyte to alert the professor, not him, and made his exit. He saw Silas emerge, face flushed with fabricated shame and triumph, just as he felt the gathering storm of 4 powerful signatures converging on the location. Now was his chance. He slipped into the main courtyard, found the acolyte who'd been spreading rumors about his incompetence for years, and with a focused burst of borrowed ice energy, punched him squarely in the nose, following up with a swift kick. The commotion was immediate and public. He then presented himself to Headmaster Oren, his great-uncle, in the administration spire. I lost my temper. I assaulted a fellow acolyte. I am prepared to accept my punishment. Oren, an old man with kind eyes and a weary demeanor, rubbed his temples. The sounds of distant, violent energy discharges, the 4 men likely tearing apart the false trail, echoed faintly. Elias, my boy, you couldn't have picked a more visible moment? I need you to exile me, uncle. Send me away from the citadel. Oren looked at him, then at the distant flashes of light, and understanding dawned in his aged eyes. He sighed, a sound of deep resignation. You always did have your mother's particular talents. He reached into his robes and pulled out a smooth, opalescent stone. Take this, a perception filter. They won't be able to trace you with it active. Minutes later, a decree was posted. Senior acolyte Elias Vance, for grievous assault, is hereby exiled for 3 years of penitent travel. Eli shouldered his pre-packed bag, filled with clothes and cheap novels, and walked down the main causeway. He ignored the muttered insults. The fight in the distance reached a crescendo, then an abrupt, ominous silence fell. He quickened his pace. He made it to a nearby frontier town, buying a stubborn mule for the journey. That evening, in a tavern over a plate of roast turkey and mashed potatoes, he heard the news. The 4 lords of Skyhold were searching for a man. A description was being posted in every town. The patron slapped a printed circular on the bar. Eli's own face, his real face, not his current glamored one, stared back. His fork clattered to the plate. They'd discovered the ruse in hours, not days. Panic surged. Rummaging in his pouch, he found a small, intricate metal disc. A teleportation token Kalen had given him, ludicrously expensive. With a muttered oath, he activated it. The world dissolved into nauseating whirl, depositing him outside the gates of a city named Silverfall. He'd read about it, famous for its layered spiced pastries. Shaking off the disorientation, he found the famous bakery, the Gilded Crust. The custom was to give a pseudonym for your order. On a whim, he scribbled, Remy. He sat with a mug of spiced cider, waiting. Soon, a server's voice rang out. Order for Remy. Spiced pear pastry is ready. Right here, Eli said, standing. A hand closed around his wrist from behind. The touch was cold and unyielding. Remy. Eli frozze. Slowly, he turned. Kalen stood there, his usually impassive eyes burning with a quiet, furious intensity. Eli's bravado surfaced, desperate and absurd. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So, can I at least eat my pastry first? Kalen said nothing. He produced a length of crimson, spell-imbued silk and tied their wrists together, collected the pastry, left a gold coin on the counter, and led Eli away. "Are you alone?" Eli dared to ask as they walked. Kalen's grip tightened. "Would you prefer an audience?" Relief washed over Eli. No, just you is perfect." "Liar," Kalen stated, his voice flat. "All those others. The gardener, the baron, the professor. I'm a conduit, Kalen." Eli shot back, trying to pull away. "You can't expect me to live like a monk." Kalen stopped. When Eli looked at him, he saw, to his shock, that the enforcer's eyes were glistening, red-rimmed. The sight was profoundly unsettling. "Don't," Eli said, unnerved. "Crying won't work. I'm not signing any eternal bonding contracts." Kalen's hand came up, not to strike, but to cup Eli's cheek, his thumb stroking the skin. "I know. I just need you to stay. That's enough." He activated another token. They appeared at the mouth of a cave in a desolate canyon. Inside, it was a stark contrast. Thick rugs, a massive bed with silk sheets, all lit by softly glowing crystals. A gilded cage. Kalen didn't speak much. His actions were his language. For 3 days, Eli learned the meaning of exhaustive reclamation. On the 4th day, a violent pounding shook the cave entrance. In Kalen's brief absence to reinforce the wards, the door burst in. Colt stood there, flushed and frantic. He threw a blanket around Eli and hoisted him over his shoulder. "I've been waiting out there for days. That bastard tricked you. That teleport token was tagged. It always leads to Silverfall." Eli, dizzy and wrapped like a sack of grain, gripped Colt's neck. "You said I deserved to die 9 times over. Maybe you should start collecting." Colt ran, his voice breaking.
"Remy, I'm sorry."
"I could never hurt you. You've got my heart in a vice." Eli, exhausted, simply rested his head against Colt's back and let the world fade again. He awoke to a standoff in a forest clearing. Professor Sterling and Damien blocked the path ahead. Kalen closed in from behind. Colt held his ground beneath him. Damien's voice was a predator's purr. "Come here, little fox, before I decide to teach you a permanent lesson about wandering." Eli buried his face in Colt's shoulder. "Elias." Sterling's tone was the familiar, commanding one that always made Eli's spine straighten reflexively. "Come to me." Eli looked at the professor's deceptively calm face. He knew the disciplined cruelty that lay beneath. "Aren't you disappointed?" Eli asked, his voice small. "The person you wanted. It's just me." Sterling's composure flickered. "Who you are is irrelevant. It is you I want. I regret letting you believe otherwise." Eli turned to Damien. "You said I was boring. Why chase a boar?" Damien scowled. "It was never about your face, Remy. It's the fire under it. The one that belongs to me." Colt snorted. "He's just smooth-talking, Remy. I love you for your soul." "Shut up," Eli muttered, overwhelmed. He looked at the 4 faces, each etched with possessiveness and wounded pride. He saw only one path to temporary freedom. "Fight for it," he said, his voice gaining strength. "Whoever wins, I'll go with them." He expected chaos. Instead, a cold, united front settled over them. Colt spoke first, a strange smile on his face. "I implanted a symbiote. Our life forces are linked. If I can't have you, we die together. A romantic end, don't you think?" Kalen stated calmly, 3 nights ago, your blood sealed a pact with an ancient weapon spirit. We are bound. Only death severs it." Eli's hands began to tremble. He looked at Sterling and Damien, dread coiling in his stomach. Sterling's mask of gentleness was gone. "The verses I had you recite during our first night were a binding covenant from the old code. To break it invites a curse even I cannot deflect." Damien finished, his smile cruel. "And I, my fox, shared a demon's core shard with you. It requires monthly stabilization, or it consumes you from within. Eli felt the world shrink. Is there a way to undo it? Any of it? The four men exchanged a look. It was Sterling who answered, his voice chillingly reasonable. You would only use freedom to find another. We are aware of your nature now. Colt mumbled, almost to himself, for should be enough to keep him occupied. Damien rolled his shoulders. We'll have to establish a schedule. I've never been one for sharing. Kalen gave a single, decisive nod. I will take the summer months. The future stretched before Eli, a gilded, inescapable labyrinth. He was taken back to Skyhold, not to his old quarters, but to Sterling's private spire, sealed with wards that only recognized 4 signatures. Time passed in a blur of enforced intimacy and strangely accumulating power. One evening, as a late summer sun bled into his room, Sterling carted his fingers through Eli's sweat-damp hair. This isn't so terrible, is it, Elias? Eli, aching and spent, could only nod weakly, a tear tracing a path to the pillow. The following year, during the Harvest Festival, he was granted a closely supervised trip to Silverfall. The town was a riot of autumn colors and lantern light. He fumbled at a riddle booth, growling in frustration until Sterling whispered the answer in his ear with an amused smile. Colt shoved a candied apple into his hands. Damien and Kalen stood at the edge of the crowd, each holding a carved pumpkin lantern that glowed with warm, golden light. Standing by the river later, watching the floating lanterns drift, Eli was given a piece of parchment and a charcoal stick. He thought for a long moment. Then, surrounded by his 4 captors, his jailers, his anchors, he wrote a single line and set the parchment adrift on the water's dark surface. Let all my tomorrows be as tonight.